Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and we're here to review the fourth episode of Season 1 of WandaVision entitled We Interrupt This Program, which, if you're old like me, you know, is a throwback to the days when TV would be interrupted by breaking news, which still happens, but most people don't experience it as regularly as we used to because people are watching streaming, they're watching cable, but when we were kids, what else they didn't have was 24-hour news. So the regular programming got broken into all the time when there was really important news. It doesn't happen so much anymore. But when they broke in, they would say, "We interrupt this program to bring you the following," or something like that. So that was the title of this week's episode. Let's get right into it. At the beginning, what we're witnessing apparently is the great unsnap, as I call it, in progress. Apparently it's called the blip. I did not know this. And I thought that was interesting because, you know, in Avengers Endgame, we saw the Hulk undo the blip and the original blip. And then later, we just saw all the heroes and whatnot come back during the battle. We didn't see what happened when regular people started coming back. And in this episode of WandaVision, they show you that in a hospital, and it was chaotic and just crazy. And I thought it was great that they did this scene because you don't really think about that part of it when you're watching Endgame. And I certainly didn't think about it since then, but seeing this was pretty cool because, of course, you see everybody, well, not everybody, but you see people disappear in the original snap. And then you see the heroes sort of come out of nowhere at the end of Endgame in the battle, but you don't see them physically come back into existence. And it was crazy to witness that just happening left and right as people were scrambling around the hospital. And it was also cool to witness them like sort of acclimating to it. They apparently didn't realize they were gone for years. And they just sort of have to, wait, what do you mean? It's only been 20 minutes. So, you know, that was cool to see the characters coming back and having to be told they were gone for a long time. It's something we've seen in stories before, of other kinds, but we, didn't really know what happened in the Marvel universe when people came back. And so now we do. And I thought that was cool. Of course, this character, Monica, is Captain Marvel later on in the MCU. And she's not Captain Marvel yet in this series. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen because we didn't know exactly when this was set, WandaVision. But now, because we saw people coming back from the snap, we know up the blip, as it were, the great unsnap, we now know when it takes place. So this is a period during which she is not yet Captain Marvel, but she becomes Captain Marvel. Anyway, this was an episode that, was great because we got to see what's going on outside the universe that Wanda has created. Up until this point, we pretty much didn't really know, what reach her fake universe or fake reality had. We didn't even know whether or not it was in her mind. At the end of last week, we saw Monica get thrown out of the bubble. So at that point, you could kind of say, okay, it's definitely happening in the real world, but in a contained space. Up to that point, you had to speculate. Is that what it is? Is it all in her mind? Is it, what is it? So now we know. And we got to see the goings on outside. We got to see what, Sword and the FBI are doing to try to figure out why anybody who crosses into, quote unquote, Westview just disappears. As was the case with Monica herself. She approached the barrier and touched it, after sending the drone in, and the drone just vapes out of existence as far as they could tell from this side. And she puts her arm in, and then all of a sudden, whoop, she's sucked right in. So that was pretty alarming, actually. What I want to know is how did the tech that comes into the picture after um, Monica gets sucked in uh, and discovers that a signal emanating from or radiation emanating from like the bubble has a TV signal in it, recognized Vision in his human form. She seems to know right away when she sees his image on her TV that that's Vision. And I didn't understand how she knew that, because he'd never been really seen, before, at least publicly, in his human guise that I recall. But she recognizes him anyway. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. They revealed that the bubble is a hexagonal shape or a hexagonal shape. There's some speculation that that's significant. We're going to find out. We also find out in this episode that the helicopter that Wanda finds in the bushes in like the season premiere was just the drone that's kind of looks like a mini helicopter, but sort of reorganized, apparently on the molecular level, to look like a drone to Wanda, and that's very interesting, and we're gonna circle back to that in a minute. One thing I want to know is, why is there a broadcast? Why is there? I mean, I suppose if the broadcast is on a radiation, on top of a radiation wave, the radiation's there because the bubble's there. But why is there a broadcast signal embedded in it? Did Wanda consciously put that there? And if so, is that a cry for help? Is she trying to, engage the outside world so that someone will help her with, whatever she's struggling with, that sort of spawned the creation of this fake universe that she's now trying to live in and hold together against not only infiltration from the outside, but people, saying things to her like Monica said to her in the previous episode, and things like Vision has said to her. So it could be that. It could be a cry for help. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting. Something that's very interesting and sort of gets us back to the whole thing with the helicopter is that when Monica is expelled from the bubble, okay, the clothing that she had on when she was in the bubble, in the false reality that Wanda has created, did not revert back to what she was wearing before she went in. In fact, her hairstyle stayed the same as it was in the false universe. So, and obviously she didn't come out naked. So what that indicates is that not only is like what everybody sees inside the universe not real, it's also not purely illusion. There's actual matter manipulation going on. Because the clothing's real, so it came from somewhere. The hair style was changed, and it looks like it even grew out. So matter is being manipulated. Things are being altered on like the molecular level inside the bubble. The question is that something that's automatically happening? In other words, did Wanda just create this universe and give it its sort of a bit of autonomy where it's operating independently from her and doing things? Because it seems like that at times, that it's doing things without her knowledge, and that she doesn't know everything that happens inside the bubble. Well, that's something else I'll get to more in a little bit. This brings up the question of, are the kids real? In the comic, the kids are very much real, but they were formed around a demon's soul fragment, if I'm remembering what I read correctly. So they're living, breathing, corporeal children. When they're first born in this, you have to go, okay, are these an illusion? Are they really there? If they are really there, would they subsist outside the bubble? Would they be able to exist outside the bubble? If clothing does, then it's certainly possible that these children are more than illusion, that they would in fact be able to exist outside the bubble. So that's an interesting thing because it means she manifested living beings, and in this case, without the soul fragment that's used to do it in the comics. And then you have to ask, are they part Vision for real? Because we don't know Vision's actual status. There's a moment in the episode where where Wanda very quickly sees Vision as his dead self, the robot self. His exterior color is changed. His eyes are dead, and there's a big like hole in his head where the Vision Stone, would normally be because Thanos yanked it out. So what does that mean? I mean, it's a quick flash, but she sees him as his dead self. So the question is Vision, did she bring Vision back to life? Physically, corporeally, and, bring him into this bubble with her? Just like, Monica was really in there? We don't know. It certainly would be interesting to find that out, and I assume we will by the end. He clearly has a level of autonomy in the universe because he's able to have conversations away from her with other people and to sort of think about what's being said to him. So he's not being controlled by her or being controlled by some sort of autonomous energy bubble that that sucks people in or whatever, and that is manipulating matter. Unless, again, Wanda's manipulating the matter and there is no autonomous bubble. We don't know. But he's clearly independent of whatever. He eats that gum early in the season, and then he acts like a knucklehead. And Wanda has to sort of scramble to make his craziness not seem crazy. So he's not under her control in those moments. So what the hell is he, and how is he autonomous, and what? It's just so bizarre, and it's such a great mystery, and I can't wait until they reveal everything. Assuming they do, assuming there isn't a cliffhanger, 5 episodes from now. We're halfway through. There are 9 episodes. We're just about halfway through. At this particular moment, when she sees him like that, he again expresses concern that something weird is going on. And she said, "Don't worry, I have everything under control." But this episode and moments in the previous episodes would seem to suggest that she doesn't, because things keep happening that she has to rewind or undo. Like, for example, expelling Monica. The radio goes off at one point, and we now know what that was. It was the FBI agent trying to communicate with her, and she couldn't control that. She had to smash the radio. And it doesn't seem like she's in control of when the TV era changes, from the 50s and 60s to the 70s. So clearly she's not in control. And I don't think she's the one sucking people in. Like, the universe just seems to do that itself, and that might not be conscious, but its properties might just be such that if you touch it, you get sucked in. And she didn't know that Monica had infiltrated the bubble, right? The universe just sucked her in, but no alarms went off, no intruder alert went off, nobody told Wanda, right? Nothing informed Wanda of this. So she's not completely in control. And she's not omnipotent within this bubble. It definitely seems from this episode, though, that the people on the outside, SWORD and the FBI, have figured out that by the end, have figured out that that Wanda is doing this. And certainly Monica's going to tell them, hey, she hurled my ass out of there. So they're not going to be, one assumes, under the impression going forward that this is something being done to her, as it would seem they had assumed up to this point. What I want to know, too, is who are the neighbors? Now, there's a scene where they tell you that, okay, this is who they're being called on the shows, quote unquote, that are coming out of this bubble. But that's not who they really are. They figured it out by facial recognition. But in other words, where did they come from? Were they sucked in from outside? Did they really live in that town? Is it really called Westview? Why didn't the cops know about it if it is? Did they get transported there from far away places? We don't know that. Looks like Sword and the FBI do, but the audience hasn't been let in on that. But that's going to be interesting. And why are they acting, the way they need to act? I mean, at what point did they figure out that if they didn't, there would be a problem? Like, what are we not seeing that took place to make them aware that they had to go along, or there'd be trouble? Because clearly they're just going along to get along. At least some of them. So yeah, there's a lot left to uncover in this situation. But whatever accounts for it, it's very clear that Wanda is not either omnipotent or omniscient inside this bubble. She doesn't appear to be micromanaging the entirety of the bubble, which is good, because that would, well, I don't know if it's good. It could be a story point if she had been, because at some point the stress of managing every single, thing going on in the bubble would make it crack more easily, one assumes. But for some reason, they're going a different direction. She's actually not micromanaging everything. She's not omniscient. She, like I said, she didn't know when Monica had gotten sucked in. So did she create this bubble with a sort of mission of its own to keep reality away from her? Why it disguised the copter, for example. It's just crazy, and I'm loving this show so far, and I can't wait for the next episode. That's going to be a week away. Unfortunately, we have to wait, but at least we're all waiting together. I will be back next week with another review of episode 5. Until then, I leave you, as always, saying peace and long life.